A lot of the times, we believe that beauty is hidden from us, and we have to jump through hoops to receive it. But the truth is, you don't. Beauty is all around you, constantly knocking, tenderly, asking to come in. But depending on the story that you tell yourself is what keeps your eyes closed to the beauty. There's a story that we tell ourselves about love, about God, about your career, and even the world we live in. Depending on the story that you tell yourself, it will dictate what you experience in life. The story that you tell yourself crafts the lens that you look through life. But what if you have a distorted story that isn't yours, or is yours, but is full of pain, and it impacts you and how you see yourself, what you believe, what you're capable of achieving, or even the career that you pursue, or the love that you allow in or don't. This story that you tell yourself determines everything that you get to experience in life. And maybe not in all areas, but in some areas. Deep in your heart, you desire to allow beauty in. You desire to feel something truly marvelous. And it begins with changing the stories that we tell ourselves.
And hello, you beautiful soul. It's Tori, the Hope Dealer of Guided Intuition. Something that I want to talk about that is so important to the evolution of you, to the growth of you. It determines what you experience in life when it comes to your career, when it comes to healthy and beautiful and prosperous, abundant relationships of all kind, whether it be with a romantic partner, platonic, your family. Like, this one thing, guys, really dictates what you experience in life, how much joy you allow in, how many adventures you go on. If you have never heard this before, or if you have heard this and this is Tori reminding you and saying it again to you, I'm happy that I get to be that person. So, a wise woman knows that the stories we tell ourselves matter. Do you hear me? The stories we tell ourselves matter. So, my loves, I want to be completely transparent that this topic can be a little triggering, because one of the things with understanding duality, right, in life, that everything serves its purpose, and really shedding, I want to say, because I can say this out loud now. You know how, like, when you finally get over something, you say it out loud. I can really admit to myself that at one point in my life, I was really what they would call toxic positivity, right? We all know what that term is, okay? If you don't, you can definitely Google it. But I understand that we live in a world that is duality. It's important for us to accept, love, nurture, and understand both dualities of ourselves. The parts that we clap for and the parts that we don't, right? It's all about perspective. So I was a person that was really, I really clung to my light, but, you know, hid my shadow. But of recently, I want to say in the last couple of years, I've really been merging, integrating, and harmonizing both aspects of me, knowing that every part of me is worthy, every part of me serves its purpose. So when I talk about the stories that we tell ourselves matter, I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing, because that is a thing, but to process, to grieve, to feel negative emotions, to know that we're not every single day going to be happy. it's okay. Like, it's important that we realize that we're human, right? And we allow ourselves grace and understanding to feel, to process, to understand, grieve. We honor the cycle of life. So I just want to say that when Tori talks about the stories that we tell ourselves matter, I'm not saying that you should spiritually bypass things or be oblivious. No, don't shove things down. Allow them to come up. Allow them to be released. So I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about, as far as the stories we tell ourselves matter, are those intimate thoughts, or those things that play over and over and over. One of the most powerful things that I realized, but at the same time, it was a hard truth, that my reality and my life is a mirror of my mindset.
You may not control everything that happens in your life, but you do control how you perceive it and how you allow it to influence you. Your perception, which is the lens that you see life through, shapes your story, which dictates your life and the beauty you allow in.
I want to share something with you from this little magnificent little gem, okay? And it's called The Law of Divine Compensation. I hope I said that right, but I'll put it right here so you guys can see it yourself. But this is an amazing book, okay? And it is all about transforming the mind, transforming negative talk, which ultimately transforms your story, how you see yourself. Because I'm going to tell you something. It doesn't matter how Tori sees you. It doesn't matter how your mother sees you, how a lover sees you. The only person's image of you that will ever matter is yours. Because how you see you, what you think about you, it forms thoughts. And those thoughts eventually one day will become things.
Spiritual growth involves giving up the stories of your past so the universe can write a new one. Releasing negative self-concepts is so important, not simply because they hurt you. It's important because they're not true. The spiritual journey is a path of surrendering our fear-based thoughts and allowing them to be replaced by God's.
This is so important because you have a dream. There are things that you desire to go out in this world, do, be, accomplish, and see. And depending on what you think about yourself, depending on what you feel about yourself, what you believe about yourself, it determines if you will ever pursue those things. It determines if you will ever experience those things. What are the stories that are looping and repeating in your head? Is it stories of lack? Is it stories that I'm not enough? Are you replaying that I can never get it right? Nothing good ever happens to me. Are you looping a story that all men, all women are the same? Are you looping a story that I will never find love? Are you looping a story that I can never wake up every single day and do what I love? Are you looping a story that I'm ugly? Are you looping a story that says I'm not worthy? Because those things are not true. Those are stories that have been passed down through unpleasant situations, right? Through people projecting their fears and insecurities and their angers and their bad days onto people, onto you, onto me. The stories that we tell ourselves, what that is ultimately doing is forming a belief of how we think and how we see ourselves. So I want to ask you, what story have you been looping right? What story have you been telling yourself that is not your truth? Because you know what, my love? You are enough. You're more than enough. You are worthy, right? You can wake up every single day and do what you love. You have everything you need to pursue your dreams. You are worthy of a love that feels like sunshine. You are worthy of your story being heard. There is more than enough. Okay, abundance in all forms available to you. It's not getting worse, it's getting better. It's not a loss, but it's a lesson that's here to grow you and evolve you and stretch you. Are you telling yourself, I'm too old? Are you telling yourself that it's too late for me? What are the stories that you are allowing to take up room in your heart, in your mind, in your thoughts, to influence the belief about yourself?
So something that I want to talk about that I found is highly important when it comes to realizing that the stories we tell ourselves matter is, I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but the placebo effect. When I say placebo, I just automatically want to say placenta. Anytime I hear placebo, I think about placenta. And then on a spiritual aspect of it, when we think about the placenta, this is where the baby gets their nourishments, basically everything that's going to feed their organs and their body and help them grow and evolve. So the placenta is highly important because it basically sets the tone. It's the conditioning of the baby. It's going to dictate the strength and, you know, how well the baby does depending on what the mother feeds herself. It's all processed in the placenta. And this really got me to thinking about the placebo effect, because it's about the conditioning of the mind, and what you feed the mind determines the conditions of your life. It conditions your life, right? So that was very interesting to me on the spiritual level, the placenta and the placebo effect. So I want to break down what the placebo effect actually is. So the placebo effect is kind of the same thing. It's about the conditioning of the mind, okay? The placebo effect is when a person's physical or mental health appears to improve after taking a placebo. And what I like to say is after you have been conditioned to believe something. The placebo effect is when an improvement of symptoms is observed. Y'all know what I mean. Despite using a non-active treatment, it's believed to occur due to psychological factors like expectations or classical conditioning, okay? So let's just say you've been in a lot of pain for the last year, and I told you it's been proven 100% that if you take this Super Cure Extra 3000 gluten-free non-GMO miracle substance, your pain will go away forever, okay? That this medicine works 100% success rate, and you believe me, so you take it, and then 1 week later all of your pain goes away, it stays away, and you find out that what I gave you was not miracle medicine, but actually H2O. It was actually water. But because you believed me, because your mind took in and made it real, it worked for you. You believed it, so it became real. So that's actually what the placebo effect is in a nutshell. There are two forms that I want to talk about and how we condition our mind. Classical conditioning is learned through association. When we learn, I want to say, behavioral patterns, like if, you know, mom or dad come in slamming the door. So naturally we start to associate that with, okay, you know, they clearly had a bad day. So it's
learning through association. And the second way that I want to talk about is instrumental conditioning. Instrumental conditioning is a method of learning that uses rewards and punishment to modify behavior. I like to say this is how we grew up, okay, in our childhood. Hey, you better take that trash out. You ain't getting that allowance. Them grades better be straight A's or no phone. It's modifying behaviors with reward and punishment. So these are the ones that I really wanted to talk about, because I feel like these truly have conditioned our minds, and they inspire the stories that we tell ourselves that a lot of us take on, right? And we don't even realize it. But one of the things with being sensitive, or if you identify being an empath, you're able to really read what's going on and pick up on energy. And we don't even realize it, but we will allow how other people feel or their behaviors to inspire our stories. And sometimes it can be positive, and then sometimes it can be negative. So again, the stories that we tell ourselves really matter. It doesn't matter how big or how little, they influence us, and when you become aware of this is so powerful, because you can start to realize that there are certain things that maybe I socialize myself with, or stories that I allow to inspire me that really are not serving me. One of the things that I want to talk about with the placebo effect, that there's actually this story where this guy said, I want to talk about oh my God, let's mess this word up. What is it? Expectation. So basically, there was a guy who sucked his entire life during school. Like, he was shitty when it comes to making grades, and he flunked all of his classes, and he was supposed to take his SATs, and he was telling his mom, like, Mom, it's no reason for me to go and take my SATs. I'm going to fail. I'm failing all of my classes. And his mom was like, no, go take it, go do it. So anyways, he goes and he to take his tests, and they get later on they get the results back, and it turns out that he didn't fail. In fact, he scored the highest. I think he made the highest he could score was a 1400 on the SATs. And he couldn't believe it. He kept, checking and reading the paper, making sure that they gave him the right paper and it was his. And even his mom was surprised, and she was blown away. And she had to ask him, did you cheat? And he's like, no, Mom, I didn't cheat. This is what it is. This is what it says, that I passed. So what happens is, because that paper told him that he passed, and he always thought that he was dumb, but here it is, this paper saying he scored a 1400, top SATs, you're smart, you're a genius, basically. He started to believe that he was smart, because he had been failing all of his classes. Here it is, he took this test and he passed. So he started to carry himself in a way that a smart person would carry themselves. He started to, try things, do things. And needless to say, that he went through life being super successful, helping people build businesses, motivational speaking, acing tests and helping people ace things. And he just went out in the world and became super successful. And later on, it came out that there was an error in the testing system, via the computers. The computers made a mistake, and I think it was him and 30 other individuals, that he really didn't score a 1400. In fact, he scored, I think you need an 800 to pass, and he scored a 700. So he didn't even pass it. However, because he believed, he had an expectation, the expectation was this piece of paper that was saying you're smart, right? He believed that he was smart, so he went to carry himself in a way that he was smart, and he went out in the world and did incredible things. However, technically that was not his truth, because he didn't pass the test, but he conditioned his mind to believe that this paper says that I'm smart, so we're smart. And the mind subconsciously carried on in that way. And I love this because we are always being conditioned, okay? We are being conditioned. We are being programmed in some way or some form. When you tune into Tori, I am even a program, right? To love yourself, for you to live your truth, whatever that looks like to you, right? But nonetheless, that's my intention. So the stories that we tell ourselves matter. And the beautiful thing is, we have the power to program and condition ourselves. We don't have to wait for the classical conditions or someone to speak something into your life. You have the power to do that. And it begins with the stories that you tell yourself. So what story is looping? What story is playing? That's not your truth. What are you speaking in your life? What are you speaking over yourself? Because what we say to ourselves, what we speak over ourselves is so important. Because it is going to determine everything that you experience in life. What you pursue. What beauty you allow into you and into your life. Something that I really want you to ask yourself is, what story are you constantly telling yourself? Is it one that uplifts you? Is it one that speaks life into you? Or is it one that depletes you? So, in some area of your life, it's time to get a new story. Releasing negative self-concepts is so important. Not simply because they hurt you. It's important because they're not true. The spiritual journey is a path of surrendering our fear-based thoughts and allowing them to be replaced by God's. How do we actively, when we're in the moment, when we are experiencing or reliving these stories that we do not want to continue to speak over ourselves, how do we move past that? How do we let that story go?
Nurturing your inner critic through transforming your self-talk.
One of the things that are so powerful for me is no longer bashing my inner critic, but nurturing my inner critic.
It is through love and nurture that even the unlikeliest thing to change will change.
So let's just say if you are doing something and if you're getting dressed and you're like, oh my God, because I'm pretty sure we've all been here before. If you're a woman and you have in the past struggled with body dysmorphia, honey, you done been here before. When you're getting dressed in the mirror and you so happen to look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh my God, you're so ugly, you're fat, you're skinny, you're just worthless. What I like to do in that moment is I pause and I make sure that I make eye contact with myself and I give myself words of nourishment. I kind of soothe my inner critic. I nurture my inner critic by telling myself, no, Latoria, you're beautiful. I know the majority of your life you have heard mean words. I know that you have been in relationship with people that did not value your body, or you were bullied or made fun of, but I love your body. You are worthy. I love your body so much that before we even came to this world, I knew how you would look and I still chose you. So depending on whatever I'm criticizing, whatever that thought is criticizing, I will nurture it and I will feed it words of affirmations of love. I will adore it. If you find yourself saying, I'm stupid, I never do it right, I can never get anything right, what I like to do is I like to pause. And you guys, I gotta be completely transparent. I'm real intimate with myself. I like to pause and I'll like hold me. And I'll like close my eyes and I really don't care where I am. Like legit, I don't care where I am. Like, and even if I can't close my eyes, like I'm in line or something, I will envision myself holding myself.
Counter-react the mean thought with a kind statement.
Latoria, it's okay to take your time. Yes, you do get things right. It's okay if you don't get it in the first moment. It's okay to understand things on your time. Just say if a thought says you never know anything, I'll say, yes, you do. You know a lot of things. And just because you don't know this particular thing doesn't mean you don't know anything. You came here to Earth to learn, to explore. You're not supposed to know everything, but you do know a lot of things. And this is why you're here, Latoria, to learn, to grow, to get a better understanding of whatever it is, whatever topic I'm looking at or I'm experiencing. So learning how to nurture your inner critic. And I'm gonna tell you completely, it's uncomfortable at first, you probably, feel like you can't find the right words, but I'm telling you, it will get easier. But it's about, instead of bullying or agreeing with your inner critic, but nurturing your inner critic and giving your inner critic a new story, giving that inner critic or whatever, that thought, that voice, a new story. And eventually you keep telling yourself this story, it's going to stick. I promise you.
Identity drives behavior. How we view ourselves, how we see ourselves, our self-image impacts our decision making. It dictates how we move and show up in the world. How we see ourselves determines the opportunities we pursue and the opportunities we don't. And what influences your identity is the stories that you tell yourself.
Sometimes we can get caught up in this material world, right? We can get caught up on the outside of things and how they look on the outside, that we forget that the stories we've told ourselves is a manifestation of the outside. One of the most powerful things that I realized, but at the same time, it was a hard truth, that my reality and my life and the things that I'm experiencing, no matter how good or how bad they feel, is a mirror of my mindset. And I know you're like, well, Tori, how? We all go through things that feel uncomfortable. We all go through things that are out or outside of our control.
But we can control how we perceive and react to what is happening to us, because this dictates the lens that you see life through, which ultimately creates your story. And something that I want you to keep at the forefront of your mind, that a wise man said, everything arises from our thoughts.
So another thing that has really helped me with changing my story, and the beautiful souls that have worked with me, one of my main things, no matter what, okay, I'm gonna find gratitude in every situation. I'm going to look for the beauty. Like when I tell you, like, here we're changing the story right now. You never lose in life. You never lose in life, because that thing that you are perceiving as a loss is really a lesson, right? For you to understand the situation better, for you to grow, for you to evolve, for you to know what not to do. When you find gratitude and when you look for the beauty in every situation, no matter the story, no matter the circumstance, no matter the situation, you cannot lose. Even the most painful situation, even the most degrading and embarrassing situation, if you look for the beauty, if you look for the gratitude in that lesson, it'll turn things around for you and direct you to a story that is more fulfilling, that's more in alignment with you.
I want to let you guys know that tomorrow I will be sharing the exact exercise walking you through it step by step of how I changed my story. As the love on you exercise that I do myself, and anyone who works one-on-one with me, this is a mandatory requirement because it really helps you change your perspective, your story, and how you see yourself. And I kid you not, that is the most important thing. How do you see you? How do you think about you? What do you think? That is the only narrative that truly matters. I'll be sharing that with you guys tomorrow. If you're watching this at a later date, you will find the link to part 2 to this video down in the description box. And if you have made it this far in the video, I want you to drop a orange emoji down in the comment section. And I also want you to just share a story that you're making a decision to let go of today. And like I said in the beginning of this video, it can be in any area of your life. Maybe a limiting belief about yourself and how you see yourself and what you're worthy of. Maybe it's in love, your career, anything. I want you to drop it down in the comment section. And also, if you guys would like to work with me, all of my information is down in the description box. And as always, I'm sending you so much love and spiritual hugs, and I will catch you on the channel. Take care. Mwah.